So that is the polygon law. Next, let's discuss the parallelogram law. Now, not every time, it's not going to happen every time that head of every vector is joining the tail of the other vector. Now, it can also happen in this case. Like, this is the first vector, and this is the second vector, A vector and B vector. What will be the resultant of these two vectors? So can you tell me, since both the tails of the vectors, both the tail of A vector and B vector are joining, so these cannot be added by the triangle law. How will you add these two vectors? Now for this, what we do is, we complete a parallelogram here, right? Let's say this is O, A, B. So we complete a parallelogram O, A, C, B, right? Now see, in this parallelogram, this side AC, this side AC will represent a vector which is parallel to B vector. And since this is a parallelogram, the magnitude of AC will be equal to magnitude of OB. Why? Because the opposite sides of parallelogram are equal. Therefore, we can say that AC vector is equal to OB vector. This is clear to everyone? Now see, in this case, AC vector is equal to OB vector is equal to B vector. Similarly, OA vector is equal to BC vector is equal to A vector. Now see, this vector, AC vector, can also be written as B vector, and this can be written as A vector. So if I want to now find the resultant of A vector and B vector, I can apply the triangle law over here. In this triangle OAC, I can apply the triangle law. Now if we apply the triangle law, the closing side of the triangle will give you the resultant. Therefore, this is the resultant A vector plus B vector. Right? So what are the steps? The first step is, if both heads are joining, the first step we do is complete the parallelogram, and the next step will be that the diagonal of the parallelogram will give you the A vector plus B vector. Now this was just one diagonal. Let's see the other diagonals. What are the other diagonals? The other diagonal is AB vector. Are there just two vectors? Are there just two diagonal vectors? Can you tell me? Now in this case, just see that there are four diagonal vectors. How there are four diagonal vectors? The first one is OC vector, and the second one will be the opposite vector of OC vector. Now this CO vector is also a diagonal vector, which has the direction of opposite to A plus B vector. Okay. And also this AB vector is a diagonal vector. Now let's discuss what will be the values of these vectors. Now first thing I'm going to write here is, this result we got that OC vector in this case is A vector plus B vector. Can you tell me what is CO vector? Now in this case, CO vector will be minus of A vector plus B vector. Now let's try to find out this vector AB vector. Now in the case of AB vector, just see that if we want to apply the triangle law in this triangle, what we need is, this should be the resultant. I need AB vector, therefore AB vector should be the resultant. Therefore the head of one of two vectors should be connecting the tail of one of two vectors. Now what we can do is, we can move this vector like this. So this will become minus of B vector. Now this BO vector is minus B vector, and this vector is plus A vector. Therefore I can write that AB vector is equal to BO vector plus OA vector. Now why am I writing like this? Because this can be added. These two vectors can be added, because the head of this minus B vector is joining the tail of A vector. Now I can write this as minus B vector plus A vector. Therefore AB vector is nothing but A vector minus B vector. Similarly, can you tell me what will be the BA vector? So BA vector will be reverse of this. Therefore I am writing here AB vector is equal to A vector minus B vector, and similarly BA vector will be B vector minus A vector. Now see, by using all the signs here, all the signs in front of A and B, here we have both plus, here we have both minus, one plus second negative, right? First negative and second positive. So these are the all four possible signs. So we can say that the diagonals, now this is very important thing, that the diagonals of this parallelogram will be represented by plus minus A vector plus minus B vector. So let's write it down in the statement in the form of a result. Just note it down. If adjacent sides side vectors, okay, just write it, sides of a parallelogram are A vector and B vector, then the diagonals will be plus minus A vector plus minus B vector. So I am going to have four vectors over here when I am using both plus, when I am using both minus.